Political parties and political participation, where 7 political parties of Meghalaya, namely the Congress, NPP, VPP, UDP, HSPDP, TMC and BJP participated. A platform, political parties and political participation meant to discuss the role of political parties and that of the people as participant in the political process was instead converted into a political platform by nearly all political party representatives who each tried to sell the ideology of their respective parties.
I extend a warm welcome to all the faculty members and teachers from different colleges across the state of Meghalaya. Thank you for accepting our invitation to participate in this very important program. We wish each of you the very best, and our institution will always be open to you in the future for more programs that will address the general good of the community at large. We are always open to learn from you as we play our humble role as educators. Once again, I extend a very warm welcome to each and everyone present here today. Thank you.
Coordinator of the event, Manbor Wajri, said that the objective of the symposium is to be informed of the pressing issues so that people are better prepared when they go to exercise their franchise with elections round the corner.
What best but to hear from our distinguished leaders about the programs and policies of their parties and what they have in store for us as a state of Meghalaya, especially with 50 years of statehood that we have just recently achieved. These are great thinkers, they are great leaders, and they have with them immense experience and wisdom for us to learn. And the objective, sirs, of this program is that we become informed. We become informed of the issues before us so that we are able to make a conscious and a conscientious decision when we have to exercise our franchise. Because we also as the audience have our part to play. They are playing in the political domain. We have to play when we are to exercise a franchise. We have to participate in the political process. We have to be informed of the issues of the day. We have to be updated. We have to upgrade ourselves. We have to be very sensitized so that we are able to make the correct decisions in the coming elections. There's a saying that we have a lot of armchair politicians and sitting room analysts and suffragists, but on the ground, sometimes the situation is far different, for which our distinguished speakers will know much better than all of us present here. With these 3 words, I once again thank our eminent distinguished leaders. Despite their campaigns and their many engagements, they have taken the time to be with us and to share their valuable ideas and suggestions.
Manuel Badwar of the Congress, who spoke of the need for transparency in the governance. If the Congress does not come back to power, we will ensure overall development for every section of society and not the prerogative of a few capitalists. Systems are created by good policies implemented by robust political leadership, Badwar said. Relying on his corporate experience, the Congress representative pointed to the market opportunity for small farmer producer, artisans and anyone with something to sell if a fulfillment center such as that of Amazon is created in Meghalaya.
As a Congress, it is important for me to say that the Congress is a party that probably has served Meghalaya the longest. Of course, always as a coalition with somebody or the other. But then as an ideology, I think the Congress has always stood for many things which is related to development, overall development of every section of society. Some examples that I've always seen, at least as far as my party is concerned, is that it stands by its true ideologies of ensuring that development does not go to only a few, but it percolates down to just about everybody in the society. Because as a society, we all know that sooner or later somebody is going to run faster than the other, and somebody or the other is going to get left behind. And this is no fault of theirs, because the society progresses like that, especially in a capitalistic society that we live in, whereby we all get opportunities, sometimes or the other by virtue of some hardships that may arise at home or in the society itself. There will always be somebody who will get left behind. But it is important to notice that while we are in a capitalistic society, we also have to have certain things that I call support systems, which will allow the people who have been left behind to come forward. You people must have heard about a lot of political leaders in order to win the hearts of the people, dole out money. I said, doling out money will not get you anywhere. Maybe for the politician he might win an election, but believe it or not, as a society we lose. Because the moment somebody doles out money, that money is not something that they give up from their own goodwill. They will try to retrieve that money in some way or the other from other sources. And that will definitely deteriorate the polity of a state or of a country. And as thinkers and as well-educated lot that we all sit here, I only urge that these are the small things that we should look into. Because as any political party, I always tell people that it is very important for us to look beyond that. See, I'm privileged to be a part of the Congress, not just because I'm a part of a political party, but I'm also a part of the fact that at least I will be able to mold the future generations and the future of our state. I always tell people that the need of the hour in our state is transparency in governance. You know, today, if I stay in my locality, and if my next door neighbor has a leakage septic tank, and the awful smell is being borne by all the neighbors, it is extremely difficult for me to even make one small complaint and ensure that at least I get the service that I deserve. Who do I approach? The Rambadam, the MDC, the MLA, and if they fail, then my bedroom discussion will be that MLA is useless. But the ground reality is that it's not supposed to be like that. We are supposed to have a system in place to ensure that such things don't even have to arise. And the system is supposed to be built by policies, by political leaderships. Tomorrow, if I tell you that at least there should be an effort, whether it's the Congress, whether it's PDF, whether it's Voice of the People, whether it's UDP, whether it's just about any party, if tomorrow we're supposed to form some sort, we should have at least a willingness to ensure that this transparency comes about. Because I always tell people, that once you work for the government, you call a government servant. And as a government servant, what does this name just signify? Basically, you serve the government. And who's the government? The public is the government, not the representatives. The representatives only represent the public. So if government servants are supposed to ensure that there's transparency, why can't we have darbars? Nice darbars we have. We sit for meetings just about every odd quarter. Why can't it be that in those darbars we have some sort of a discussion like this? I call it a town hall discussion. It's a very famous, well-documented concept around the world. Why is it that from the various front-facing departments, when I say front-facing departments, I'm talking about municipal, I'm talking about PWD, I'm talking about health, I'm talking about PHE. Why is it that officers from these departments also don't come? We have area managers from each and every department. Those area managers are also supposed to participate in such meetings. What happens if they participate in such meetings? It improves transparency. If tomorrow the municipal starts giving a report on the past 6 months' performance of the municipality, at least for that particular locality, just imagine the kind of changes that we'll be able to bring. At least people will not have to go run pillar to post just to get small things sorted out. And these are the kind of things that we need to change. And these are the kind of things we are going to change. I'm so happy to tell you that at least it will be in the Congress's manifesto this time. Because I think it is high time that such things also come into the fore. I am tired to see and I'm tired to hear from many at large who keeps on telling me that anything we want sorted out, it's not possible. It is so sad, and I feel sad also that many people, the moment you enter the house, they talk about certain politician or the other, that they're useless. Because I make a phone call to them, I ask them to sort my water issue and they're not able to. Because I believe that politicians are supposed to do a lot more things than just make a few phone calls to some plumber or the other. That is one thing in terms of improving governance. And I assure you that at least that is an important thing that we need to sort out. Now the other thing, as we have said earlier, sometimes we need to look at our society a little different. Because society also works like a human body. The symptoms that we see in a society need not be the problems that we have in society. Drug abuse, alcoholism, petty thefts, these are just symptoms. The biggest problem, believe it or not, if I tell you today in Meghalaya, is unemployment. It's a very, very big issue. And the kind of statistics that comes from God knows where is all bogus. The Niti Aayog report, that is at least the fairest form of report that I've seen, shows that our unemployment is quite high. And the worst part is, the more qualified you are, the more unemployed you'll be. And that's extremely sad to know for a state like Meghalaya.
Arden Basayomot of the VPP highlighted the importance of politics and governance in Meghalaya. He compared Singapore to Meghalaya and said in 35 years, the former has become a progressive developed nation while the latter is regressing on all parameters. Arden said the VPP was launched because there was no alternatives. All parties have failed, hence it is important to revive, restore and transform Meghalaya. VPP rests on two strong foundations, clean politics and to safeguard the interests of the indigenous people while protecting the constitutional rights of other citizens of the state, the VPP president said.
And a very common one is, why are we in this situation today? Of course, there is no doubt that our attainment of statehood has benefited the people, especially the indigenous population, in a number of ways. However, we will all have to agree that we could have done far more better. I used to make a comparison between Singapore and our state, Meghalaya. What and where Singapore 35 years ago, before independence, and what and where Meghalaya 50 years ago, before statehood. We will say that Singapore is strategically located, and we must be informed that it has no resources and potential to grow rapidly as an independent nation. Meghalaya, for that matter, is blessed with the availability of natural resources and potential to become one of the most developed states in the country. And we all know what is the reality in our state today. On the contrary, Singapore has been transformed from an underdeveloped country to a developed nation, at par with most of the highly developed countries of the West in just 35 years after independence. Whereas Meghalaya, our state, is becoming a state with no future and certainty. Its land, which was once upon a time rich and fertile, is no longer yielding crops without the use of fertilizer. Its rivers and water bodies are heavily polluted and contaminated. Its forest cover is declining with every passing day. Its natural resources are depleting. Shillong, which was a famous hill station some time back, is now very dirty, no different from other parts of the country. And the list can go on. I would like to remind this gathering that on the 2nd of January 1948, when Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel visited Shillong, he made this remarkable statement. He was mesmerized by Shillong, in which he said, I quote, "Yours is a land for gods to live in. Its air, its natural scenery, its pure atmosphere, its sweet waters would attract even gods if your hearts were pure." Unquote. So the question now here is, why Singapore can be transformed from a third world country to a developed nation in just within 35 years after independence. Whereas Meghalaya is in a very terrible situation. What is the driving force that pushed Singapore to that level? And what are the reasons that pulls down our state, Meghalaya, to become one of the least performing states in India? The most important factor that can be attributed to the growth and development of Singapore as a nation is good governance. I would like to quote what Lee Kuan Yew, the founder of Singapore, said, I quote, "We cannot afford to forget that public order, personal security, economic and social progress and prosperity are not the national order of things, that they depend on the ceaseless effort and attention from an honest and effective government that the people must elect. Unquote. In the context of Meghalaya, there are a number of political parties, both national and regional parties. In the 50 years of its existence, except for the first General Assembly election, in which the APHLC secured a clear majority, subsequently, in every election, no party has been able to cross a halfway mark in the 60-member House. And this has resulted in political instability. Another factor which is also responsible for political instability and the failure of the government, successive government to deliver, is because of power and political convenience. Power and political convenience is the goal of all political parties and political leaders, and not the interest of the people and the state. Further, most of the political parties in Meghalaya, especially the regional parties, do not have a clear ideology. The emergence of personality-centric politics in the state has further limited the role of ideology in the politics of the state. It is also very unfortunate that the state has not been able to produce visionary leaders even after 5 decades of statehood. The absence of visionary leaders is also one of the causes that deprive its citizens their rights to live life with dignity. There is a policy paralysis in the state of Meghalaya, and that is why the state ranked the lowest in every sphere. This is a major embarrassment for every right-thinking people in the state. And I think you all know what is Meghalaya today. Meghalaya ranked the 5th poorest state in the country and the poorest in the northeastern region. It is the worst performer in the field of education. It has 10% of malnourished persons among states. And it is the 6th among the states with the highest percentage, highest death rate in children and youths. It is the 2nd in the country with regards to cancer prevalence among men. And according to Sustainable Development Goals, India Index 2020-2021, Meghalaya ranked 23rd.
UDP's Gemino Mautho flipped back the pages of history and narrated his experience as politician. He said that the state needs to wake up from its dependency syndrome and learn to look at things differently. Admitting the problem will always be there, he said that one should look ahead at the next 50 years with a positive outlook. He also stressed on the importance of political engagement of the people and touched upon issues like urban congestion, to name a few.
I would also like to share a few thoughts with you as far as our party is concerned. I represent the United Democratic Party, established in the year 1998, and it has been 25 years of our journey as far as state politics is concerned. But having said this, I would also like to mention that our party is an offshoot of the APHLC, which spearheaded the Hill State movement for the state of Meghalaya. You know, when we say politics, we always attach a negative connotation to it. We always attach a negative connotation to it. But let me tell you and remind the audience here that politics is the art and science of governance. It is about decision making. It is about making good policies. It is about giving the best to the people. The focus should be on the greatest good for the greatest number. This is what I feel. And when we talk of party politics, I would like to go back, when we first joined the political party, UDP, about almost 2 decades back. I still remember my good friend Arden Basayoman. It was in the year 2006. Before that, we were involved in youth organizations. We were also firebrand leaders, as far as the youth are concerned. And it was in the year 2006 that myself and Arden Basayoman joined the United Democratic Party. On the same day, on the same year, on the same month. That was 2006. But consequent to that, because of party politics, we went our separate ways. I rejoined the party later on, and Arden went to join another party, and now he has formed a new party. This is party politics, if you have to talk about party politics. And very interestingly, if you talk about party politics, we have to look at it from both sides. We have the positive side and we have the negative side. When we talk of party politics from the positive point of view, we are talking about having dialogues. We are talking about having consultations. We are talking about having deliberations. We are talking about consensus and cooperation. But if you look at it from another angle, when we talk of party politics, again we are talking about conflict of interest and we're talking of manipulation. And when we look at the politics as far as Meghalaya is concerned, Meghalaya exhibits a very interesting, the story of politics in Meghalaya, it reflects something else. It is unique. We have a unique culture as far as politics is concerned. We have all kinds of permutations and combinations. In the last 50 years, how many governments have we had? More than 20, 22, 23 governments in the last 50 years. So you can understand the kind of instability that we have in the state of Meghalaya. And this kind of permutation and combination and instability has really handicapped development in the state of Meghalaya. When we got our hill state, there is high expectation that we will propel the state forward. But 50 years have gone by, 50 years of wasted opportunities. We used to take pride in the fact, saying that, our land is a land of milk and honey. But if we go by the statistics, as mentioned by the esteemed panelists here, whether we talk of education, whether we talk of health, whether we talk of agriculture, whether we talk of, urban governance, whether we talk of anything, Meghalaya is going on a downslide. I would not like to talk about the statistics here. Data, as Manuel has mentioned, data can be manipulated. But let me say this also. If we talk about, the financial position of the state in the last 20 years, when we keep mentioning that the growth rate is 10 plus or something like that, it can never be. It is manufactured. And this is the kind of statistics that we represent to the people of the state and the nation as a whole. And if we talk about participation, are we really participating in the political process? Participation is not only about voting. Participation is not only about campaigning. Participation is about lobbying, changing policies, influencing the thoughts, ideas, policies, and so on and so forth. I prefer to use the word, not participation, I prefer to use the word engagement. I think that is a more appropriate word when we talk about, politics in Meghalaya, political engagement.
Fabian Lyngdoh of Trinamool Congress said that political parties in this venue are all saying we failed to provide good governance, but in the election platform, each one will say they failed. Speaking at length on the reason for unemployment, Lyngdoh said, the reason is because our youth have to be able to sell their skills not just in Shillong or Meghalaya, but also outside the state.
Parliamentary democracy, where the president, as the first citizen of the state, is an honorary head, while the real authority is with the prime minister, who is elected directly by the people. So it is a parliamentary democracy, a government by the direct election of the people. In the parliament, not the president, neither the prime minister, but the parliament. So we have political parties. For policy, for ideology, we cannot haphazardly elect hundreds, 500 MPs as independent MPs. There will be no order, no structure, no leadership. That's why we have the party system for a structured leadership. Leadership is already determined in the party system. So once a party got a majority in the state legislature or in the parliament, that party leadership is already structured. So the prime minister candidate is already there, the chief minister is already there, because of political parties. Because I'm forced also to speak on Meghalaya politics, because previous speakers have spoken, so I'm compelled, also not compelled, I am not compelled by anyone, but I feel like to, okay? Feel like to. What is happening in Meghalaya? Let us not talk about India now, let's talk about Meghalaya. What is happening? We are now thinking, all of us are thinking that we have a failed government. We have all failed for the last 50 years. The word we is very important. All of us failed. But the thing is, when we come at the election campaign, that we fail is somebody else, okay? Somebody else. We have to take the responsibility, all of us, all parties in Meghalaya have to take the responsibility that we have all failed. And what is the reason that we fail? According to my opinion, this I represent here the TNC party, but right now, while I speak, I express my opinion. What about the policy of the party, I'll speak later. In my opinion, we are still lacking in social leadership. And the narrative of social development, the narrative of social protection, narrative of identity has been wrongly propagated. Even the narrative of unemployment is wrongly propagated. What is unemployment? in the real sense. Unemployment in the real sense is when no one, population is so much in that community and the resources in the community are so little that no one, a large number of people do not have even opportunity for labor, even for 300, 400 labor wages for labor per day is not possible. That means a problem of unemployment. Not necessarily that very few people are in the top post in the government. Not necessarily that MA graduates, postgraduates, graduates are not having honorable jobs. That is a different way of thinking. According to there is no economic unemployment problem in Meghalaya. That is why lots of people from outside are coming to fill up the vacuum. In my own experience, go even not in the Shillong, but go to the villages, people who are constructing houses do not get mystery labor. They are ready to pay 600, 700, a mystery for raising building, for fitting tiles. These are coming from somewhere else. When we look to the local people who is able to fit the tiles, we are very, very few people. So not that we lack employment, but we lack the skill to be employed. Why? Because we lack the social leadership. So far, I dare say, our state lacks social leadership. And when we lack social leadership, it reflects to the political leadership. The political leadership is recruited from social leadership. How can we grow if we do not produce something? How can we earn if we do not sell something? And how can we sell something if there are no one to buy it? You see, dear students, if you have to be leaders in the future, or producer, or productive members, think of what are you going to sell. We can no longer survive by planting paddy only, by going to the jhum cultivation only. We are entering into a new economic system. The new economic system, the national economy. We live under the shadow of national economy and plus the influence of the global economy. If we want this society to really develop, we have to recruit, we have to teach, we have to train competent workers. And one thing, why all this is happening, I tell you, we have lots of leaders, I do not deny. But so far, the configuration, because the configurations, okay? Configuration is, the fault is with the configuration. I do not say that we don't have competent leaders, we have. But because of configuration, okay? All elements are good, but when some elements are configured in a different way, the molecule may become poison, okay? But other elements, molecule configured in a different way will become nutrition. So I don't blame individual leaders. I blame in Meghalaya the configuration of leaders so far all wrong. Okay. So I do not stand only for TMC here. Okay. I hope all the good leaders of the society will be there to make a configuration that is competent.
NPP MDC Bajop Pingrop said that his party has taken steps to resolve various sensitive issues such as the border dispute and encourage the youth to come and participate in politics. He talked about the various initiatives taken by the government to reach out to the public at the grassroots, especially in the rural areas.
The love of the people of the state for the National People's Party is growing from time to time, because the reason is we have leaders who are humble, humility, which is a very integral part of politics. Once you're arrogant, means that is the first failure in politics. In politics, you have to be humble, humility. And the National People's Party, whom I represent, is getting stronger day by day. As you can see, from all parts of the state, people are joining the National People's Party. Going back to the past, about party politics, I can say party politics is when one political party form a law, make a law or policies. We'll go back when we achieved our statehood way back in 1972. Where the government of that day, they passed the Meghalaya Land Transfer Act. That is an act which is being hailed till today by all the tribals of the state of Meghalaya, where we are protected, being a very minuscule population of the country, very less, I can say. These are kind of policies where political parties have to make. And coming to this day, where we can see in the current dispensation, the NPP has taken steps in trying to resolve so many contiguous issues, so many sensitive issues, I can say. The border issue is an example. Me being a representative from the border issue, it's a very hard task for me. I'll just share a little bit of my experience before this phase 1 settlement regarding the boundary dispute. There's one of the sectors out of the 12 areas of differences that's called the Gizang sector, where one PMGSY road was sanctioned by the government, which is 6 kilometers from Athiabari to Umshek. That road was stopped by government of Assam. And the contractor who took that job, he had to surrender that work. And who's suffering? The people residing in the border areas. But after the phase 1, MOU was signed. That particular area where I can name villages, people of the state, they don't know from the city especially, but us from the rural areas, I'll tell you. The villages which we have got into Meghalaya, where the road today, the government of Assam has given a green signal, and you can go and see by yourself, the road is being constructed now. That is just an example where this political party which I represent, NPP, has taken this important, where people from time to time since we attained statehood has made this a political agenda, has made this a tool, to win the minds of the people of the state. I feel that once and for all, if this boundary dispute is solved, I think the politics about the boundary settlement will also be extinguished. That's why we can see other political parties, they are against, because why? They could not do it. Yesterday I was having a fierce debate in the session in the district council. One member of the district council from Millim, he's a member from Millim. He was minister in the previous governments, He was a cabinet minister. He never spoke about border when he was a cabinet minister. But yesterday, he spoke the love for the Jatbanriu, for the state. That is politics. Any political party, to gain mileage, to get mileage, they'll play politics. That is the politics that he's trying to play, to induce in the minds of the people of state that this government has failed in solving the border issue. That is politics. And my dear friends, I can see 80% of this hall, you are youths. My request to you all is, you have to come out and participate in politics. I've seen in our state, Meghalaya, mostly the youths in the age of 18 to 25, they go and vote listening to their parents, listening to their uncles, listening to teachers. But I feel it's high time for the youths to come out and listen to their heart and choose the right candidate, where they can see this the candidate who has a vision for them. That is my humble request. Imagine a state like Meghalaya in the last 2018 elections, the largest constituency, Mawai constituency, the turnout of the voting was just 59%. Why is the turnout so less during elections? If you want changes, I can say many educated people, many rich people, they don't go and vote during elections. That's very wrong. And they are the people only who complain also against the government, but they didn't go and vote. So my appeal is that people of the state, they should come out and vote and choose the right candidate, choose the right party where they can perform for you all.
From the BJP side, represented by its spokesperson FG Shulai, outlining the meaning of the word Hindutva, which he said can be translated to mean nationalism and patriotism. He explained that the BJP was inclusive and that people were unnecessarily trying to create fears about this party, which has a long historical tradition.
Meghalaya has got the record number of corruption that is persisting in politics. It has spread to the churches. It's now spreading to the institutions. And once that happens, the entire society is going to be dependent on corruption. We must bring an end to corruption, and I am here for that. But before I continue with what I have to say, I have to thank the organizers of this symposium for inviting me to speak, for inviting my party to speak. I have to thank the members of the BJP who have given me this very proud moment to stand on behalf of the BJP to speak to all of you. And all of you must be looking at me and wondering, isn't this man a little scared to talk about the BJP in front of all of us? Because that's one party that no one seems to love. But I'm here to change all that, because I'm going to give you the true perspective of what this party stands for. Nobody has done this, or maybe somebody have, but I'm going to try my best to convince all of you to have a new perspective about this particular party. Before I go into the party, let me talk about ourselves, about all of us who are gathered here. Ask yourself a question. Are you a unique race? Are the Khasis, the Jaintias and the Garos a unique race? Are they exceptional in any way? Perhaps you've never gone into this. Why? Because we take it for granted. But think carefully on it. Why are we unique? Because I believe we are exceptional. And we are exceptional because, firstly, we are protected by the 6th schedule of the Constitution of India. We are not protected by ourselves. No. It is India, the Union of India, that protects us under the 6th schedule, meaning thereby that the land belongs to us. It is the Union of India through the 6th schedule that has given us ladders of opportunity that we can do as we wish. If you have done nothing, in spite of the ladders of opportunity that the Constitution has given us and which the government in power in the center acknowledges to this very moment, who is to blame? You heard other speakers saying that we have not done enough. I tell you, this ladder of opportunity does not exist in any other state in the country. There are scheduled tribes elsewhere. They are guarded under Schedule 5 of the Constitution of India, but in that case, the land belongs to the government. We are the only ones who have this ladder of opportunity. If you look carefully into this word and to what it means and what it represents, it tells you that you are one who is a nationalist. Hindutva basically means, if you bring it down to its core meaning, means a nationalist. And my friends, we have been nationalists. In fact, we've been more than nationalists. We've been martyrs. We've been patriots for the Khasi, for the Jaintia, and for the Garo Hills. Gyan Longpa was martyred because he was a patriot. Dhirat Singh was jailed because he was a patriot. We have Pahatogin Nongmenja Sangma from the Garo Hills who was killed because he was a patriot. Today, patriotism is not as it was in those days. Today's patriotism means look at India before you look at anything else. And I agree, we must have our own ideologies, even if we are regional parties. I mean, can you see how open-minded I am? I speak on behalf of a party whom you all think are so closed, so anti-everything. But look how open I am. I say, every party must have its ideology, and we look to the ideologies of the regional parties. Why? Because we try to fit the regional ideology into the national ideology. This is one big family. This is India. And every family has its roots, and has its diversions, and has its branches. And we try to unite them all. It is a huge, very, very difficult effort. Mind you, as much as attempts as we make, the matter has to be politicized. When it comes to this word, this is worse, because politicizing an issue means we don't care for reason. I don't care for anything intelligent. I am politicizing this issue.
HSPDP President KP Pangyang, a former student of the college, reminded about the past leaders and the hardship endured that led to the attainment of statehood. Pangyang said the party stand for the protection of the rights of the Hill people, and time and again the leader have given proposal to the government demanding the amendment of Para 12A of the 6th schedule, which is yet to be fulfilled. He favoured the demand for ILP and a separate state for the Khasi Jaintia and the Garo people.
I have to salute and remember the name of Pahoping Suningdo, who is the founding president of this party. And HSPDP party, after the attainment of autonomous state of Meghalaya, the HSPDP, we oppose the so-called autonomous state of Meghalaya. Then in 1968 and 69, Pahoping Suningdo, along with the leaders and volunteers, they have staged a protest, a strong protest, at the date on the 4th of April 1970, at the time when the Honorable Prime Minister of India inaugurated an autonomous state in Meghalaya. And the very purpose, aims and objective of the HSPDP is to attain full-fledged state of Meghalaya with full empowerment, while we exercise our legislation power in the State Assembly of Meghalaya. But unfortunately, all expectation, important issues of our party did not meet what we have expected most. But the HSPDP trying its best effort to fight to attain the full-fledged state of Meghalaya. And Bhawping Stonelingdo as a leader, along with other leaders, thousands of volunteers, they have staged a protest, and about 300 of volunteers were arrested and have been put to jail in Guwahati in those 1970 for a period of 50, 70 days. Some of them have been put in jail for a period of 3 months, even up to 6 months. And gladly we recall that the achievement of the HSPDP, that full-fledged state of Meghalaya, it happens on the 21st January 1972. The HSPDP has raised from time to time. We feel that it is the needs of the hours and the needs for our community to empower the people of our state by amending the Para 20 of the 6th Schedule of the Constitution of India. Yes, our party, since the inception of the creation of Meghalaya state, the HSPDP continuously opposed the insertion of the Para 12A to the 6th Schedule, which being the special status of the indigenous people of the state. Unfortunately, even after 50 years of our statehood, as my global leaders mentioned earlier, our demand is yet to be fulfilled.